Welcome to Same Cast Different Day podcast. I'm your host, Martel Roland, and I have Claire B here with me.
Well, good evening, everyone. I am the new junior podcaster, whatever you want to call it.
So one of the first things we're talking about Pride Month. So Pride Month is the month of June. So by the time this podcast air, it will be June and it will be Pride Month. But before I get into that, I am having a beef with Twitter again.
Now what? No,
so Twitter. Not only did my actual Twitter page got stolen, and then they told me they can prove it was me, so they let whoever hacked the Twitter page have it. But now they suspended the podcast Twitter page for God knows, I don't know what reason. They said that for posting suspected a spam or some posting spam or something like that. I'm like, I don't really post nothing on there but links to the podcast, or I might retweet something like one of the somebody in government probably tweeted out, but that's about it. Like, and they suspended the podcast Twitter page for some reason. Didn't really give me a really good explanation, which kind of peed me off.
It's not like, I mean, it's not normal them to do that stuff. Really, they're normally pretty
right.
I mean, it's not like TikTok. I mean, TikTok's a completely different animal, really.
Right. Well, yeah. Somehow I got suspended from Twitter for the podcast page. So, yeah, might have to start a new one.
Oh no.
So I want to do a big shout out to the listeners over in India. I just found out for you guys that actually gay sex was actually decriminalized back in 2018.
Oh.
And if you were caught having gay sex over in India, it was punishable by 10 years in prison. And this was a law that stood for over 150 years.
Oof.
That I just found out. So I just want everybody over there in India to know I love you guys and welcome to happy freedom when it comes to being able to be yourselves out there. So yeah, Pride Month. I don't know. As far as I know, all the Pride celebrations here in Milwaukee are canceled. I know of. So I don't know how anybody else is spending their Pride Month or how they're going to celebrate Pride. I don't know. Do you have anything going on where you at?
So up here, I'm in the kind of northern part or northeast Wisconsin. They're actually going to have so far the possibility of a Pride, like a Pride Day at actually Lakeside Park in Fond du Lac, Wisconsin. So that possibly might happen around mid-June. We're still waiting on details, time, some of that. So as soon as, hopefully by our next podcast, I can get that information out to everybody. Hasn't been posted yet on Facebook, but as soon as we get there, we will get to the information out there. And so that would be kind of neat to go. And they're going to have like little vendors and a lot of different things to be able to go and talk to people. Actually businesses and a lot of, so there'll be a lot of interacting, kind of like a little mini, like a mini Pride Fest, like you, not in like the size of Milwaukee or Madison, but that'd be kind of nice to have a little small one, and everyone's welcome to come, and there'll be food vendors there and beverage vendors if you're 21 plus. I mean, if you like to have a beverage.
Mark is just snuck into the dining room. Like, are you recording? Like, when I'm using Zoom, he doesn't know that the microphone will pick up the background noise. So he just like tiptoed away.
Oh my, Marcus. Bye, Marcus. Bye, Felicia. Bye, Felicia.
So it was so funny watching him just tiptoe away, like, because I could suppress the background noise when I'm using Zoom.
I hear you, Felicia. I hear you.
That is hilarious.
Oh, that's funny. That's funny.
Where were we at? Because that just threw me off.
Okay, so we were talking about we were talking about Pride Month, Martel, and we were actually talking about what was going on up here in Fond du Lac. So as soon as I get the details, there actually will be also a wine bar.
What you see how excited I just got?
A wine bar that apparently there's actually a company that does wine sampling here in the Fond du Lac area. So as soon as I actually find out the name of that one and we get to more details by the next podcast, we will actually get into that and we will get the more details out there for everyone so they can actually, if they are in the state or somewhere else where you actually would like to come check it out, we would, we'd welcome everyone. And yes, Martel, we'd welcome you and you and your crew.
If I don't have to work, I just might. You had me at wine.
Really.
So
I might buy you and the crew a beverage, maybe, maybe just you. Maybe just you. I'll tell her else they get paid for them.
I don't know, because when I drink, I drink. I be ready to party. Because one thing about Pride Fest I miss is the performances that normally go on. And I just miss going to concerts, really. I kind of miss seeing some of the outlandish outfits that you see at a Pride Fest. Um, there are some men and women who I think are a little bit too naked at times. But if you got the body to do it, do it. But I'm excited for Pride Month. So throughout the month of June, we're just gonna be recognizing Pride Month here on the podcast. And one thing I didn't learn, I didn't know that Stonewall was the actual. That's the pronounce right. Stonewall was actually the first LGBT group that was public in the United States. I just learned that myself.
Yep, it's been around since I believe the 50s or 60s. I believe it's when they had that march. And yeah, they actually started because it started at a bar. It actually started at a bar. I believe in New York or the Bronx.
I think started. I was thought it said Chicago.
Oh, it's Chicago? Oh.
That's what I think that's what I was looking at. Let's take a Google here. Let's take a Google. Okay, yeah, Stonewall Riot. Oh, they did just talk about the riot, also referred as the Stonewall Uprising or Stonewall Rebellion, were a series of spontaneous demonstrations by members of the gay LGBT community in response to a police raid that began in the early morning hours of June 28th, 1969, at the Village Stonewall Inn in Greenwich, I should say Greenwich Village neighborhood of Manhattan, New York City. You was right, New York.
Was it New York? Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I was taking a guess. I thought that was, but I wasn't really sure if that was actually the true, statement behind it. But yeah, wow. That's I'm glad somewhere it started somewhere where people had to be known that you can't be hiding in a closet or just right. you have a partner. Japan, I think, is actually the worst place.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, here's some countries.
I think Japan. I think somewhere in Saudi Arabia, some of them areas where they're still, if you're found out as gay, is punishable by death. They're still
correct.
So.
Yep, correct.
In some of those countries.
The Middle East.
Yeah.
He told me that a lot of the Middle Eastern countries. Now, again, I don't have the list, but they're kind of the most, I would say, non-safe for anyone in the LGBTQIA plus group. I would always, recommend to make sure you do your research. Mm-hmm. I mean, all your domesticated countries. One country that actually is even went farther than the United States, a lot more open, is a lot of Europe and Australia. Canada is also on that list too. So these are countries actually where you could go and just be yourself. No, you understand there's still going to be those negative people, and I work. So I see some of those people at my work. Whatever, you just got to look past them. Mm-hmm. But to be honest with you, these countries have gone farther than what the United States is. They gave these people legal rights, human rights, job discrimination, everything, housing. The United States is working on it, but they're just not working fast enough. These countries are already ahead of us in a lot of things, which we have talked about before.
The United States is behind in everything except for nuclear warheads. At this point, that's the only thing they are not behind in.
It's sad. It's very sad.
Right. I wonder how the world would be today if people still didn't have the freedom to be themselves.
You know what? If we had what if
RuPaul never came and broke down that wall, or stuff like that?
Mm-hmm. No, we'd probably still have the two-party system. You'd have a two-gender system, and that's what you'd have. There'd be no room for anyone in the LGBTQIA plus group. There'd be you'd be probably stoned. Maybe taken out. I'll be in more context to be taken out of life.
Right.
Whatever equipment they could find.
Like the young man, I can't remember his name, but the young man that was down in Texas, I think they had tied him to the back of a truck and drug him for being gay
Oh, yeah, I heard about this.
and
Yes,
killed him. Yeah, and
this
this
is.
was not too long ago. So, and it, sorry, and it's crazy because I look at kids now that are like in middle school and high school, and they have the freedom to be themselves. Like they can go, even if they feel like, oh, I want to transition when I'm older or something like that. Like they have the freedom to go to school and wear, dresses and paint their nails and just to be them. And just to think about it, 10 years ago, not even 10 years ago, probably even 5 years ago, a lot of kids didn't have that option.
Oh no. Mm-mm.
And it's
Nope.
crazy how much have changed within the last 10 years or so, because you can say even early 2000s to about 2010, yeah, it was out there, and yes, there was a movement,
Mhm.
but there still wasn't that freedom still to kind of be yourself
I mean, it.
without being targeted.
Oh, you're right. I mean, I would say in looking at it from my perspective is, I believe that Obama did a lot for the country. He opened up a lot of doors, um, where people just assuming he split people up. When actually it's not true. He actually opened up that philosophy. And to me, everyone has their thoughts. I feel that it was actually a good thing he did. We
Right.
went from a completely like I want to say a, and I don't want to be negative about it, but a
Mm-hmm.
privileged class to now, hey, we need to look at what's going on here. And yes, things have, gone in the wrong direction with the last president we had, and really in a part of a poor direction where things could have gotten worse another 4 years out. But I mean, I'm glad to see that we have people actually that do support all of us, and then actually I'm glad to see that we actually are able to be ourselves. I mean, it took me a long time to actually be myself. I mean, but
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't change it. I wouldn't change it for the world. No.
Right. Because I think it was under Obama administration where they allowed legal gay marriage, right?
Correct. Yep. Actually, 2009 or 2010, something like that. Actually, it was kind of one of his, kind of making sure that he was pushing for it. So, and to
Yeah,
me,
they get the same tax breaks now as married couples. Like, can you imagine being in a relationship, in a gay relationship for, X amount of years, and you've been with your partner for 20 some years,
yeah,
and you don't get the same, tax benefits as a marriage couple?
I think it's pathetic. If you are in a union, a civil union is what they call, regardless of what your partner is, regardless of, you could be, and anywhere in that rainbow spectrum. You could be a gay guy, gay girl, you could be a lesbian, woman, you could be bisexual, whatever, guy, girl, whatever, transgender, it could be two spirit, whatever, just to name a few of them, it could be
Mm-hmm.
intersected, or asexual, whatever it is. But the thing is that you should have the same benefits from day one that everyone else
Mm-hmm.
has had for centuries. Centuries. This has been going on way before even we're talking even before, before Jesus or God. Not to get into light with it, but I'm just saying this is the truth. Everyone should have rights. I mean, actually, they were actually pulling the LGBTQ back from even back in Egypt, which I was like,
Mm-hmm.
really? There was
Mm-hmm.
actually gay couples. I mean, that's what it mostly was. There was gay couples, and I was like, this is stuff you really never heard, And actually,
Right.
the stuff's coming out. It's coming out, and I think to me, it's a great thing that people are actually getting out there to be like, oh, so it's not a brainwashing thing or nothing like that, like people think it is.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, you're being yourself. You're being you in a whole, a person. I think that's
Mm-hmm.
great. I think that's positive. I mean, I wouldn't want anyone to be any differently.
Right. But one change I would like to see within the community is the way how the community treat each other.
True.
Because when it comes to like the whole dating scene, it's just like, hey, if you don't have the look, nobody wants to be with you, pretty much. And I feel like that's something that needs to change. And the way how some of them treat each other, which is I like, especially the younger. I keep talking like I'm just like 40, 50, 60 years old. But when I see someone like the younger ones now, the way how they treat each other, like if you knew what people had to go through for you to act like that, you would not be doing
Oh yeah, yeah. And I think to me, I think they're going to learn over time that their poor actions earlier in life made for
it.
bad decisions that they're at now, where instead of disregarding or degrading another human being, we're all human beings regardlessly.
Mm-hmm.
So you should be respected, people. I mean, I like I said, I went from maybe a few friends to now I have like my little rainbow squad, as what I call it, that covers just about every little genre, which is great. I mean, to me, and because they're all unique people. But I agree. I mean, I've heard that too, where if you're like even in the transgender community, there's transgender people where they're like, well, if you don't have these looks, or you don't like, you don't look like, if you're transition to a woman, we don't look womanly enough or feminine enough, or if you're a guy, trans guy, you don't, and this and that, and it's no different. I mean, I'm like, where does that come into play? Like, where does looks? I thought when you actually get to know somebody, I thought it's from inside, your feelings, your
Mm-hmm.
heart, stuff like that. So the look should have nothing to do with it. I mean, that should just happen over. It's not going to happen overnight, but that should happen over time, really.
Because I can honestly, even with the millennials and now Generation Z, whatever they call themselves, it's like, because I don't consider the millennial, but a lot of millennials, like when it comes to actual, romance, it's just like, nope, we're just gonna poke, 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 and that's it. And there's like nothing else. Like it's very rare where you see actual real couples.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, that's just sad.
And I think instead of just getting out there and having fun, I understand we all been in our 20s. We all had fun from
Yeah,
21,
we
18 to
all we all
25. We
had
all been
our hoish ways.
we all had our fun. We all did our time. I did too. I'm not gonna lie about it. But um, I don't. I think having morals. I think that's your biggest thing, Martell. Is what you're saying is that morals are the big thing, not just go out there and have a good time, or
I mean, I
or
get,
whatever.
like, have a good time. You're young, you partying, you're having fun. I get it, but then at the end of the day, it's like, you're not going to look like that forever, right? So that like that guy over there in the corner that you're calling that old creepy guy, that's going to be you one
Yeah.
day. And how would you feel if another the generation at that time that's in their 20s or 30s calling you the old creepy guy over there in the corner?
Yeah. Hmm.
Like that's going to be you. Eventually, that's going to be you. So eventually, you're going to need to find you somebody, a partner. Can you imagine like some of the people who are like 60 and 70 now, who are part of the community and
Yeah.
basically didn't have nobody their whole entire lives, because once again they didn't have that privilege like they have today. But then like they're 60, 70 years old and they're spending most of their life alone.
And that's it. That's it. I mean, there was actually who was it now? Sir, I can't remember his name now, but he was an X-Men. He's from England, and
I know who you're talking about. He played Magneto.
yeah, yep.
Yeah,
And
I don't know his name, but I know who you're talking about.
him, and I think maybe there's another gentleman, I think from Canada or maybe England too, and he was in Star Trek, I believe. He was the old guy with the bald head, I believe. And
Oh, I
all,
think that's like Professor X. He was
yeah,
Professor. Yeah.
and so all these guys, they're all like, I mean, they all came out. They're like, we've been gay forever. We just never really publicly said nothing. And I'm like, and taken away from this was, he said we need to accept everybody, like you said,
Mm-hmm.
Martel. Everybody needs to be accepted. You know that.
Mm-hmm.
You might not be the prettiest one, or you may not be the buffest one, or you may not be the best looking one. But you know what? Though, if we work together to find out what you're doing, maybe I can get onto whatever your routine is, and maybe it's something I can buy in the store, or buy online, or whatever, any of your online shops.
Because to be honest, I prefer chubby. Like I don't mean, no, I mean chubby. I don't mean my 600 pound life chubby.
Oh,
At that point, it's like, okay, you know what? You need some therapy if you get to that point. But yeah, I mean, like, I don't know. A lot of people don't, like, some people, the majority of the community, like, oh, if you don't have, a lot of muscles with a six pack, and you're not really seen. And like I said, look at these guys who fought for you to have what you have. and don't want you to end up 60, 70 years old like they are and alone. And with the way how they, to me, way how they think today is how they're gonna end up being alone at the end.
Because they're worried about all the little nitpicky stuff versus be like, hey, I mean, to be honest with you, yes, I'm a trans woman. I like men. Again, you know what? If that guy's got a dad bod on him with the one muscle, as they call it, whatever. I mean, whatever. Okay, whatever. That means, you know what? He's very, actually, he has a job and he works very well at his job. And, they always say he probably has a home or, good money.
You just reminded me, I saw a video on TikTok, and this lady was like, the reason why you should date a chubby guy, because one, they'll take care of you, and instead of renting a house, you will actually own your own home.
Oh.
And all this kind of, I don't know if you've seen that video.
Yeah, I think I might have seen that one. You're right. That's the one I actually was kind of referring to. Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? Because I was like, this also trying to say, so they're trying to say muscle guys are not mature, or they're not that guy that's going to take care of you.
It's true.
And I thought about like, maybe they onto something, because maybe they're too into themselves and how they look that they're not going to be willing to, you know what, I want to settle down, have a kid, and buy a house. Now, I'm not saying all of them are like that.
Yeah.
But when you think about a lot of the younger ones, like, it makes sense. They are like that. Like, they're all about them instead of building something, a life, basically.
And that's the logical thing to me. I mean, why, I don't care, but most women are always looking for that, build this and that. And I'm like, really, to be honest, I would never want some guy like that. Not saying I have a family member like that, an uncle that kind of is like that when he was younger. It was all about himself and this and that. And I'm not here to, get into details, because I'm not,
right.
This is a public, podcast. So we don't like to talk names and that. But to be honest, I'd rather have someone that's got the one muscle, which is his maybe beer cut. Because I mean, he's got a house, or probably, he makes good money, and
good job, good money.
So maybe. Yeah. So maybe he drinks a few beverages, whatever. Again, so what? Whatever. Maybe he eats whatever burgers all the time. Again, whatever. I'm not. Those guys, those men to me have more logic, smarts, and they're going to be in it for the long haul over some muscular. I got to have the newest thing, keeping up with the Joneses.
As soon as they find one flaw in you, they're gone.
Yeah, that's it.
Instead of like, you know what? When it's compared to, the person who's, like I said, that chubby guy, the guy with the dad belly, shall I say, is as soon as he see one flaw, like, oh, you're still beautiful.
That's true.
Stuff. Like, yeah,
that's true. I mean, I've had guys tell me before, they're like, oh, you're not really, and I'm like, does it make a difference what's between my legs or whatever else? Does that really deter me from being who I am? And, to be honest with you, yes, I will go through that process, and that's something we can actually talk about in one of our other podcasts about, we can get into that a little bit. But again, it's not why, why should, it's not that, you should always look at what qualities can it bring to a table on the dating end. But what are your qualities? To me, I think, like I said, I don't care what you look at it, but any guy that's got a dad bod is probably right on top of my list, right up there, to be honest with you. I mean, they're the smartest, the best, and they got their shit together.
Right. And one of the things, Claire, you're gonna learn eventually when doing a podcast. So, like, when I'm talking about people and within my family, I change their name so they don't. That way they don't know I'm talking.
Okay. I won't talk about this.
They probably might recognize it from the story, but like, hey, there's nothing you can really do because I changed your name. Like, so, like, even when I'm talking about people from work, and they'll be like, oh, well, I can, like, no, you can't do nothing because I changed your name in the story. I'm legally not responsible for what happens after that because I changed your name.
No, that's the way it goes. Your name is Bob or Rachel or Sue or whoever it is, No, that's
a couple of names like that heifer over there, or this bald-headed heifer, or there's Dimebag. Who else is there? I come up with so many different names. It's ridiculous. And then it's crazy because after a while, I get to call them these names. And they actually respond to them. And actually, and then it gets to a point where I actually forget their real name. Like this one girl I literally worked with every day, and I called her Baby Bop. And at one point, for a little while, I half forgot her name. Like, oh crap, what is her name? Then it came up to me like that, like, hey, have you seen Brittany? And I'm like, who is Brittany? And this was
Oh,
my supervisor, and it was like Baby Bop. I'm like, oh, she over there. Like, hey, I forget things. Like I've been calling them that for so long, but yeah. But anyway,
okay, as we're moving on for the dating end, but
yeah,
yeah,
that tends to happen. I tend to go off
and
topic.
that's okay because this is all part of this does come cover the LGBTQ and real issues that we actually go through on a daily basis. These are things where,
And
to
people
me,
need to learn how to date. That's
yes, yes, definitely, without a doubt, they need to learn that the basic things. Don't look at, okay, so I have my face. Yes, maybe I don't have all my makeup on. Maybe I don't have my face together, look pretty. Maybe I don't have that nice outfit on to, show off my curves, whatever. Let's just look at, what do you look like when you don't work? What do you look like when you get up in the morning? Those are the pictures. That should be, that's the person you're going to fall for. That's the person where they're just going to.
I probably look a hot mess when I wake up in the morning. Probably had a drool line on the side of my face, and the little watermarks that be in the corners right here. Especially if it was a good night's sleep.
I actually I look like I came from a party. Maybe my hair's all over the place. I look like I'm a hot mess altogether. It's like, oof,
actually, one time I was sleeping so I don't know how hard I was sleeping. I actually pulled out a piece of my dread when I was asleep. So I think I was laying on my hair and I might have moved and it just ripped off a piece of it.
Oh,
Yeah, I didn't feel it.
comes right out, done.
But I have pulled out a whole dread before from sleeping. That one I did feel. I have felt it. Like I had remember I had like rolled or something like that, and I was laying on my hair and I just heard the rip. Like I was like, oh my god. And then I finally set up and I looked down, like my whole dread was like laying on the pillow. I'm like,
Oh, no.
disaster.
No.
Then I had to go get it reattached.
It's so different. It's like having hair extensions, same thing, I mean, I've been pretty good now that my hair's growing a little more now. It actually stays together. I can actually pull on it, and it doesn't really go as far as this and that. I mean, my hair's growing on top. It might not, they always say the cameras are never always the best, quality. Unless you got a 4K Ultra HD camera, which
I mean, this one I bought was supposed to be like a 1080p HD or I don't know what it was supposed to be, a good high quality camera. And I turned it on. I'm like, this is it. Like this, like it couldn't be no better than this. Like, oh my god, this is horrible.
I will say from my last camera when I did this last year, I will say till now, I think I upgraded a little bit. So it does, I think 720 pixel is fine. I mean, I don't have nothing fancy. It works.
Right, so mine is only like $44 on Amazon if y'all want to get a good, somewhat quality camera. It has a light. Actually, I'm gonna show you. It has.
Oh yeah. Oh.
Oh, I don't know. Wait, I was trying to show you, but you can't. I forgot. But actually, like, it has a ring light on the top of it that's connected to it.
You can take your phone. Oh yeah, you can take your phone and turn it like backwards with a camera. I don't know if I can do this now. Let me see if I can do this now, so I know what I'm doing. So you can take the camera and you can actually show.
Oh, okay, wait. I don't know if it okay. There we go.
Oh,
I don't know if you can see that.
Oh yeah, I can see it. Oh wow, that is nice. Wow.
And I was like, it's like $40-something on Amazon. I'm like, when I actually saw the picture quality, I was like, oh, it could have been better.
Mine was only $20. So that's it. I just got some cheap off-brand Walmart brand or whatever. That's good enough for $20. No big deal, because Target ain't got nothing around here. So I'm like, I'm not gonna.
Oh my, I'm so tired of Target. Every time I go in there try to find me an Xbox, they ain't never got one, but I'm just gonna let them slide with that for now. Yeah. So if there was a Pride event here, who would you like to see perform at that Pride event?
No, there's a good question. I believe there is actually a group, and they're like a metal kind of group. Now I'm more country, but actually there's a group called, I think it's Skillrex or Skillex.
Never heard of them.
They're like a metal Christian band, but they are very LGBTQ allies. Them would be one of them. And actually another gentleman I know, and I can't think of his name now. I actually just seen him. not too long. Or just watch his video. And he's kind of a Christian based, but he's always been an ally. I think Toby Mac, I think his name is, I believe.
No idea.
No.
Who that is. I'm still waiting on Kelly Rowland to come here and perform for us.
Oh, the Black Eyed Peas they did a performance for LA Pride back in 2016.
I didn't know they still perform together.
They do once in a while, not much. I mean, not.
Fergie was broke, wasn't she? Oh, never mind. That was 2017 that happened. No, 2018 that happened when she did the national anthem at the All-Star game. Oh my goodness, I still regret listening to that to this day. Like, what were you thinking?
So I mean, that I would like the Black Eyed Peas, and that'd be kind of neat to actually see them, actually perform. That'd be kind of neat to see those. So what are your bands or singers, performers that you'd like to see at?
My number one is Kelly Rowland, Brandy. I did like watching Jesse Smollett when he was here. I did get to see him, and he was quite entertaining. Who else is there?
What does Jennifer Hudson?
I don't think Jennifer Hudson will. She probably have a lot of songs that'll put me asleep.
Oh, okay. I'm just saying.
Like, I don't think she'd have like a lot of dance, like songs that you can really dance to.
No, not really. No.
That's like inviting Celine Dion to do a concert for where people are going to be drunk and want to dance.
Oh yeah. That's true. Yeah. Then once they hit up beverages,
right.
Oh. Yeah. Who else? I'm trying to get. Go ahead.
I wouldn't mind seeing JoJo again. She was actually pretty good too.
I heard JoJo's actually been. I don't know. Phone call. No.
Oh, somebody got a call from their man.
No. Just a parent trying to bug me.
Oh.
And she knows I'm busy, but she's gonna call me anyways, just for randomly.
Right.
She's bored. Hey, what are you doing? I'm doing a podcast, mother. Okay. Oh, really? I'm gonna let you go and call you back. Okay, you do that. You go call you back. There was
but I do want to see one of the rock bands I want to see in person is Evanescence.
Ooh, Evanescence. Ooh.
I do want to see them in person. Amy Lee voice is like a god to me. When she sings.
Here's another one. Demi Lovato would be another one. I'd love
to see. I would not. I would. Yes. I'm so for Demi Lovato.
I would love to see her. I would be all about that. She has been like, I believe she's gender queer or bigender or something like that. I believe.
I have no idea. I just know that she just went crazy at one point. That's all I know.
But her and then Cheryl Lloyd's from Australia, and she does a lot of Australian stuff for the Pride things down in Australia. Cheryl Lloyd's another one. I don't know who else.
I wouldn't mind Guy Sebastian.
Oh yeah, okay. Yep.
I would accept him. I like Joe Jonas, Nick Jonas. I actually want to see the Jonas Brothers at Summerfest. They're performing at Summerfest this year.
They are?
Yes, and I want to go so bad. I'm like, who can I go with? I want to go.
I'll go.
I need to see how much the tickets cost because I'm like, they're really expensive. I'm like, I might not be going.
It'd be like $50 probably. And I'm gonna say I love the Jonas Brothers.
No, because I remember I went to go see Lady Gaga. She was performing at the what is it called now? American Family amphitheater.
The old Miller Park, pretty much. Yeah.
No, the at Summerfest grounds, it used to be the Marcus Amphitheater, but now it's American Family Amphitheater, something like that. And I paid to see her, and my ticket was like almost $200.
Oh my gosh!
To see her.
I'm looking it up right now. I want to see what the Jonas Brothers, what's going to cost for tickets now. Now I'm nosy.
Because I love, because to me, even though like for all these years, like I heard Joe Jonas singing Nick Jonas' song. I don't know if you're familiar with the song "Jealous."
Yes.
But Joe Jonas was singing, his brother Nick's song. I'm like, oh my god, they sound the same. Like I didn't even know Joe Jonas can sing the way that he sings. I'm like, oh my god. Ever since then, like, I love Joe Jonas.
So it's on Wednesday, September 8th. That's when Jonas Brothers will be playing.
Wednesday, September 8th.
$366 a person.
You're lying.
No, seriously.
Is that front row or something?
I don't know. That's what this is, average price. But I mean, there's got to be other.
That is ridiculous.
That's nuts. I mean, if it's just that much, that is crazy.
I mean, it's kind of cheap compared to if there was on like a world tour or something like that, where you'd be paying for good seats probably about a good $500-$600.
Oh yeah.
And if you want stage side, like like around the stage or whatever, those probably go for like $1,000. Like when Beyonce was charging $1,200 for front row tickets.
Oh gosh, that is crazy.
That's what I said. Like people like, I wouldn't mind going to see Beyonce in concert, but I'm just not going to pay. I'm not going to pay $1,200 to see you. Like right. People were literally paying like 2 months worth. Well, back in that day, 2 months worth of rent just to see her perform in person.
That's crazy. Good Lord.
Like that is just straight robbery from your fans. Like you already know your fans are poor, and you're gonna charge this outlandish price for them to see you in person.
So the cheap seats, which is way up on the grass seats, are $174 each.
Oh, I would never sit in grass. Why would you want to sit in the grass? Like, no.
I mean, and then it goes up to like, and then it goes up from there. Like you can get into section. They got the 3, 2, 1, and the more closer you get, it's about 236, and then the you start getting into the closer you get, and it goes 315. Just keep 375, 380. That's per person.
I mean, the most I'm probably willing to pay is like $2 something.
That's nuts. I mean, man, I'll tell you what, maybe Kiss FM or maybe one of the radio stations will be to giving away free tickets to be like, yep, sign me up.
I don't even have time to listen to the radio.
or maybe they'll have it on their website, maybe where you can just, sign in, put your name in and put your name in.
Right.
You can win like 4 tickets plus backstage, blah, blah, blah. Which would be fine. And to be honest, I mean, backstage, sure, they can more or less, they could sign one of my garments for me while I wear it. I wouldn't be sad.
I would say they said they don't want people to be close enough to where they can throw their underwear up on stage.
Oh my gosh.
Do women still do that at concerts? They like throw their underwear and stuff at the artists?
Some. I've seen some. And it was at a rock concert a few years ago. The mosh pit was Rock USA outside of Oshkosh. And it was weird because some of these women were literally stripping down to next to nothing. I mean, I was like, okay, I've been to mostly country concert, this rock concert. I was like, okay, I know they were doing some probably illegal activities, which they should be doing, first of all. But why are these women going down to next to bare minimal just for these rock bands?
That's probably like has-beens or not even nobody still.
I don't know. They're probably, I don't know. I was like, what are you trying to maybe get lucky, I guess? I don't know.
And I think Luke Bryan is supposed to be performing at Summerfest this year, but he's not going to be at the amphitheater. He's going to be at like one of the smaller stages.
Oh, okay.
Which I'm excited. I mean, I'm I really, only time I go to Summerfest is if I'm going to go see a concert somebody and I go just for the concert. Because people are like, oh my God, I can't wait to go to Summerfest. There's nothing to do but walk around and drink beer or get drunk. It's like, it's really.
I mean, you have this like all little mini stages where you have
right. Like you might catch like a free somebody who's there performing for free, and you might get like a good show out of there. But like other than that, besides trying to get to see the free shows and stuff, or going there for like the one of the actual concerts, it's like, don't really care for going. Like a lot of people are excited for State Fair too, and I'm like, I went to State Fair for the first time. I'm like, well, this is boring because I really don't do rides. I don't do them, and like then a lot of people are like, oh, I go for the food. Like I'm not afraid to eat crickets and fried worms and all that kind of stuff. So
all the weird stuff,
right? So I'm like, no. And then like I had cream puffs for the first time. I ate one, like, oh yeah, this is pretty good. So I had bought like the 4-pack. Yeah. And by the time I got to the third one, I'm like, oh my God, this tastes horrible. What was I thinking? So then the cream puffs ended up going in the garbage. And I've never been back since then.
That's their biggest thing. I mean, it's some kind of like, it's like a bread with a whipped cream on it. And that's what it is. I mean, I don't know. Everyone loves it. I mean, it's so I've had them. They're. I mean, I'd have one, or I'd split one with my one of my best
I
friends.
mean,
But
it'd
I
be
would.
different if they has like some chocolate on there somehow or something like that, or some way they integrated chocolate onto it or something, or peanut butter, something. It was just like after a while, after I ate the first two, it was just like, oh yeah, I'm in love with these. I just said, like I said, I got to the third one like garbage. It's going in the garbage.
I'm done. I'm done. Can't do no more.
Right. So I
And,
learned
and
my lesson.
and actually, in finally, and I think this fall they're going to have one. They're going to actually have they have a festival coming up. I think it's like in about a month. It's called Walleye Weekend, where they have like a bunch of country rock bands. It's all like a free kind of a festival,
Mm-hmm.
and they have country rock bands, and they have all. It's like a fish fry all weekend long, so you can have all you can eat fish. You know, fish sandwiches, fish dinners, fish whatever you want, and but yeah, that's something where it's a little
Me,
variety. It's like a mini. I call it like a mini summer fest. It's a mini.
me and seafood don't get along.
Oh well.
Then I can't eat shellfish or nothing like that either. So it's like
Uh,
now you would have said like all weekend like barbecue fest where it's just unlimited barbecue, then let's go for it.
I think there is one in Stevens Point or maybe Wausau actually has a barbecue fest, I believe. I don't know, I remember. But there actually is in the fall in Fond du Lac, they actually have a fondue fest where everything is covered with chocolates.
That sounds really good.
It's so bad. It is so good it's bad.
I might have to, you might have to let me know about that
I will. I will. I
because
will.
I'm fat. So
Who cares? Bring your partner. Bring. Who cares? Bring the crew up there. I don't care. We can have fun. They
so
got chocolate wine. Chocolate wine.
oh my god, yes. I know because I've been thinking about I want to go like I really want to do something on one of my weekends off for a weekend. Like I don't know if I want to go to like Door County or go back up to Green Bay. I really don't know. I just don't want to do something on one of my weekends off. I haven't really got nothing planned yet, but I just know I want to do something.
Well, if you need some assistance or you want apparently the gentleman that's got the hots for you to be chauffeur by all means, he could be our DD and we could have a good time in Cook County. I'm like, yeah.
I know, right? I always tell people I love having me a designated driver. Like I keep on saying, I keep telling Tina, like, dude, your son has his driver license. Because somebody is gonna have to drive me around while I'm drunk. So
Can
I'm
you
like,
pick me up? I'm over at so and so. Oh yeah. Okay,
exactly.
6:50.
I'm sending you my location. And then here come drunk me stumbling out, probably fell like a few times going to the car like that. I'm that person.
There's Martel. Martel, help. No, I'm good. I'm getting in the car. I'm going home. Done.
Right.
I'm tired.
Oh, this is my I gotta backtrack just a little because I just thought about it
Yes.
for my people over in India.
Okay.
I am still praying for y'all. Um, I just saw some of the conditions on TV today. Although you guys are probably getting this, I think 3 weeks later. But um, some of the conditions that's going on over there due to COVID is like they're getting hit very hard with COVID. And considering the fact that I saw, like I said, I think that one day at one point they had like 3,000 people that died in one day. Like their, funeral home. I don't know if they got funeral homes or whatever they call it, is so overworked that they were just burning bodies literally on the streets. And I am praying for y'all over there. Oh, I really am. And
It's
I
it's
hope
it's
you guys find a way to get through this and hopefully a safer and better place.
yeah, and COVID, yeah, it's been running rampant. They actually had some hospital, I think in India, that they didn't have enough oxygen, and people just
Yeah.
they lost a lot of people lost their lives. I mean, they could have just needed that oxygen. Maybe not for long term, but maybe enough to get that virus at least out of their
Yeah, I
lungs.
think that was today. They were saying like the truck that was carrying the oxygen showed up 10 minutes late,
Yeah,
and several people had died because that truck showed up 10 minutes late.
yeah,
And
yeah.
like I'm just praying for them over there at this point. Like it's just a lot going on with them over there.
It's sad. It's they were blaming the president or the person in charge over there, and they're blaming their government and
Mm-hmm.
and no one planned on this kind of, this kind of, kind of breathing virus to start taking people out and planning
Right.
ahead for stuff. This was never in the books, and might have we known about it, but
Right. I mean, like you look on Lysol cans, it does say it's like clean. It kills coronavirus and stuff on there. People are like, oh, this is man made. They knew about this. I mean, but yeah. And then I keep hearing a lot of people saying like, oh, this vaccine is going to kill people even if you do get it, and da 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 da. I'm like, I said once again, technology has advanced,
oh yeah.
and like I said, it has advanced. So, and the reason why a vaccine was created so fast was due to the simple fact was we had millions of people at this point that were just dropping dead.
Mhm.
Like if this vaccine didn't come out sooner, it could even be more people that's dead. We could probably still be in lockdown.
Oh, yeah.
Um, I mean, and just think of like what if they didn't come up with this vaccine soon enough, and it could have ended the world as we know it. Like it could have killed off all humans.
It would have wiped us all clean, and yeah, that's it. That's it.
Right,
It would have been done.
right. So like for people to say like, oh, they came out with it too fast. Like, of course, I had to come up with something fast, or it could have wiped out the human race for God's sakes.
Well, that's the thing, though. You have to look at what actually, what was the, um, you know, we had a disease. We need to get everyone
Mm-hmm.
vaccinated. They showed presidents, retired
Right,
presidents, the first
and
ladies.
and
They
and,
should.
and then they bring up Ebola. I'm like, and then it's like, whoa, they didn't have a vaccine for Ebola. I said they do have a vaccine for Ebola. It's only available to the military because once again, a lot of us are not traveling to them places that military personnel go where they will be in contact with stuff like that. So it's a vaccine available for Ebola. It's just not available to us, to the public.
Correct.
I
Mhm.
mean, the military has all kinds of vaccines that they inject their soldiers with because they know they're going to be sending them overseas. So that way, they don't bring any of those diseases back to us.
I
So,
mean, it's no
yeah.
different like SARS. Yeah, there was an outbreak in, I think, southern part of the United States.
Mm-hmm.
SARS broke out, and that's when Obama was in, and they had infectious diseases group that
Mm-hmm.
pretty much covered every, and they had this quarantine. They had a really, section of, they had this thing under control. It did. I don't know how long it took to go from when it came here to stopping it, but I know it was a
Mm-hmm.
short time, and I
Right.
believe there wasn't a whole lot of. You didn't hear anything in the news of any kind of like all of a sudden, oh, there's a toilet paper shortage or what, blah blah blah, whatever it is. No, I mean
Mm-hmm.
it just stopped maybe an area or a certain area where they just kind of quarantined everyone off, got their shots. They had probably come up with a shot for it, and boom. I mean it's. I mean yes, this is another version of SARS, but again, it's new.
I
It's
mean,
something out there.
even when West Nile virus broke out, I mean, it was a lot of stuff that's just, like I said, science has solved at this point.
Yeah.
And then, like I said, you just got to believe in the science. Somebody gonna say, "Oh well, they don't like." Somebody say, "Oh well, they really don't know how the vaccine will affect you 20 and 30 years from now." Like by that time, we're gonna be old and decrepit anyways, with a whole bunch of aches and pains anyway. So by that time, our body's gonna be used to whatever the vaccine is gonna bring on to us by that time.
And we'll be pretty tough. Where we'll be like, there's the, whatever. Maybe in 50 years it might be COVID, version 2 or 3 or whatever it's out there. By that time, they're gonna know how to like quarantine people off, get this thing controlled. I mean, yeah, believe the science. The science will.
Mm-hmm.
It's
like
cured a lot of
like the
diseases.
videos on TikTok when it was like, oh, when it's somebody's cough and it says that they're sending a team of the police or the team to your house to take you to quarantine. I said, what if I said, now you guys think your freedoms will be taken away now? You guys keep doing what you're doing now. That might just be a thing where they put something in your house and you cough, and next thing you know, it's a team of people taking you away out your house to some type of quarantine camp. You're not going to be happy with that.
No, 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 and that's possible. I mean, there are buildings available. There are vacant buildings available where they can put you in a little.
Yeah, like that hospital. They turned into a hospital at State Fair.
Yeah, yep. I mean, it's easy to quarantine people off and put you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to say that you'll be strapped down to the bed, but you'll be quarantined to an area and you'll be staying there until you're
Mm-hmm.
better. and that's
like
it, you know.
like all them people that was on the cruise line when they were stuck on that cruise for X amount of days and they had to quarantine on the cruise line. I don't know if you ever saw the video, but there's I guess this is when like COVID had hit or something like that, and all these people's on the cruise and they actually had to stay on the boat, so the boat was just probably just drifting out in the water near I don't know what, probably like California or something like that. And these people literally they did not allow these people to come out of their rooms on the ship.
Oh
So
wow.
these people were in their their room on the ship for like I think almost 6 or 7 days or something like that. And a crew will actually bring the food to their room and feed them, food throughout the day. They bring the food to their room, but they wasn't really allowed to leave the boat until a certain amount of days. But then once they got off the boat, they had literally turned a whole entire hotel into like a quarantine place, and they still have to quarantine at the hotel for 2 weeks before flying back home. And then once they got back home, a lot of their employers forced them to quarantine for another 2 weeks just to be able to come back to work.
I mean, just think because they were taking us, and in the beginning we had no vaccine, we had nothing to save us.
We didn't have no data really on this.
There's nothing. They had no idea how do we fix this and what's going to
We
happen.
had a president who was an idiot, where instead of working with other countries to try to solve this issue, he was trying to do it like, no, America's going to be first to vaccine. We're going to be first, 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 and that's all he cared about. And that's why in America, that's why it got so out of hand.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of him just working together with other people.
All he had to do was literally as soon as there was a small outbreak, I'm just saying, let's just say 1,000 people, okay? Now that's scared over the United States, which is probably in the billions of population. Mm-hmm. If we would have had 1,000 people, okay, quarantine those 1,000 people off, right? Mm-hmm. Put them in. That's it. We're quarantining this area off. We will supply them with food and their own little kind of like a little apartment kind of thing or a hotel, and they're gonna stay there until we can get this stuff figured out. Yes, yes, they will. They might have houses, might have car loans. Again, that's something we have to collect data on that information, and a lot of those institutions or whatever else would have to just pause or stop their loans or whatever else it is until they could, until they came out of quarantine. I mean, we could have easily stopped this, but our former president decided just to let this thing run.
Yeah, like one thing I feel like he should have did right away was close international traveling. All Americans should have been forced to come back home.
Yep.
And like going overseas to adopt kids and all that stuff should have been a big no-no. Mm-hmm. All that overseas, yeah, it should have just been a big no-no. There should have been no in or out when it came to the United States. Like, I forgot what country it was. I don't know if it was. I forgot what. I think it was Austria. And they cut off themselves basically from the outside, where they put their whole entire country on lockdown, and they had no international travel. There was no coming in or out of the country flying. And they did that for, I don't know how long they did it for, but they were the first country to report no new cases in like a week or two with no new cases, because they shut down all that traveling in and out of the country. And that's something that America should have did. And then, like I said, they were still at that point where the coronavirus was reported. We still had people, doing international traveling. We had people on cruise ships. We had all kind of stuff going on that was just not protecting us. Like even for like Vince McMahon and WWE, they in February, right before quarantine hit, they were in Saudi Arabia doing a show. They did a live pay-per-view in Saudi Arabia in February, and literally 2 weeks later, we went into quarantine, a lockdown. And just the thing, like, what if a lot of them wrestlers would have caught the virus from there? Because at the time, the virus was just talked about like, oh, it's not that big deal. Nobody was wearing masks. Nobody was doing none of the precautions. And this is 2 weeks before quarantine.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, like I said, a lot of that stuff should have been came when that first report came in January. We should just lock down at that point.
And to be honest with you, they actually were doing the science behind it. And actually, they were thinking like that, like the last quarter, so October, November of 2019, actually people started getting sick. There's people that had these weird, stuff like that. The doctors couldn't, and a lot of them did die, And
the hospital that I work at, a lot of the people around December of 2019, a lot of us got sick there. Like we just thought it was just like a common cold, but like for some of us, it was horrible. Mm-hmm. And like they was like, oh well, we probably already had the virus. I mean, at that point, like again, Trump kept everything so quiet. Like he probably knew about this back in 2019 before it was really reported to the public in 2020, January 2020. Mm-hmm. So he probably knew about this and just completely ignored it.
And just figured, well, the public doesn't need to know this. It's not a big deal. We'll
get he actually said himself that the public didn't need to know. He didn't feel the need to tell us.
To me, as a person governing your whole country, your whole 50 states, you should be out there telling the people, or even, being called up all the governors and having even if they had a Zoom, listen, we got something big going on. And before I get this out in public, I need to talk to you guys. And you need to talk to your, all your, different, senators, right. Your senators and representatives. And you need to tell these people that we're going to go live with this and not to panic. This is not a zombie attack. No one's going to, no one's getting their shots and turn a zombie. We have to understand that we have something going on that we have no idea how to fix right now.
Like even Puerto Rico, Puerto Rico's a U.S. territory. And they're still rebuilding from the hurricane. You think they had the resources down? Did Trump bother to send the resources down there that they needed to fight this pandemic or to give them money? Did they get vaccines like how we got vaccines? Like that's just stuff you don't know. I'm going to need to research that actually now.
I guess I don't think so, but I mean they must have something by now. I would take a guess because
under Biden, yeah, but under Trump, yes, no.
Under Biden, I believe that they would have something. I mean, they've had all kinds of devastation and.
That's what I was like. I was still here thinking, like, I wonder did they get the same support that we did when it came to the virus?
And like, I guess I know someone that went to Hawaii, and they actually, when they get there, because you're flying from the mainland to an island, you got to quarantine off for at least a good 24 to 48 hours. So you could go. They'll take you to your hotel room, okay, Uber, Lyft, whatever, camping. But then you got to stay in your room. You go to your room, you check, you have to, do the typical, you have to call on the phone, say, I'm so-and-so, we're going to check in, they give you they'll have a card for you, at the front desk. No one's going to be there. Grab the card, go upstairs or go wherever you got to go. And you just got to 24 hours. You just got to, now that may change, I'm guessing they probably are getting those vaccines out there to the people, but those are islands, there's a lot less population hands down, and they have nowhere to run, during any kind of weather or even this kind of pandemic, really, to be honest. Yeah.
Right. And people, so at the time of this recording, I believe it's mid-May, I think somewhere around here. And I know it's gonna be June when you hear this. People, they're already talking. There are people on Facebook already talking about like, oh yeah, we're getting another stimulus check. It's gonna be $2,000. I'm like, people. First of all, why are you counting money that you don't have? And then second of all, some of y'all didn't do right. The other was the 3 stimulus checks we got. You didn't do well by those. Like some of y'all still went out and buy. Okay, and I get. So like some people. They say like, oh yeah, the stimulus checks was to stimulate the economy. Like, I get it. They were condemning some people because they saved the money because they said, no, we need to get this money into the economy, get the economy going.
Yeah.
I get it. But only people I feel like benefited from stimulus checks was Walmart and Target. Basically. Nobody else benefited from the stimulus check, like restaurants, none of those people really benefited from stimulus check. I should say Target, Walmart, and probably Amazon.
Oh yeah,
are the only companies who benefited from the stimulus checks. And one thing that really peed me off about I keep in the burp and stuff. Sorry if y'all heard that burp.
I burped through. Excuse me. Sorry.
And one thing that really bothers me is that I see people like, oh well, I'm still behind on my rent, or I still need to pay this and that. And I'm like, well, what did you do with the stimulus money? Like, I get it, just you still owe some money, but why are you still have some, like, with the stimulus money that you got, and you should have paid something, especially when it came to rent.
Well, yeah.
I mean, instead of blowing off the money and going buying shoes and clothes and all this other kind of stuff, you should have been using that to pay your bills or get caught up on your bills.
that's what it was intended for. I mean, I was kind of behind on some stuff, from last year, and I got myself caught up. I mean, that's the way that goes.
I paid off my credit cards. A lot of my credit cards when I'm like, I only owe a balance probably on like one credit card.
There you go.
So I'm like, that's what I used it for. And so now, when I do go back to work full time, I'm not worrying about what to get caught up on because with the money, the little money that I did have coming in still with the stimulus money, I was able to keep myself afloat and just pay my necessary bills to keep myself afloat. So when I do go back full time and I am working, I really don't have much to worry about. And besides going to go blow it.
Except to go and be like, hey, I'm going to go to the store and just, go have a good time, But I mean, yeah, to me, it did help me out too. I mean, I paid a lot of my credit card down, down to a reasonable rate where maybe, the next, not this recent one for last month, but, maybe moving forward, I actually can start saving money, instead of being so far behind,
Because
really.
I think the most I owe one of my credit cards like $340 some dollars. It's the max that I own a credit card. Everything else is either paid off or it's probably less than $100 to pay on there.
Well, that's not bad, to be honest. If it's, and yes, we all went through a hiccup in 2020 and we're trying to get back on our feet and this and that. And it's a slow process. Yes. I mean, we're only, when we're getting into June and it's going to be, we'll get there. We'll get there. We're almost.
The only thing that bothered me now is that how things are trying to get stores and stuff are reopening. So stuff is reopening.
Yes.
And the only thing is, a lot more people are going to want to be outside and in crowds.
Yes.
And my whole thing is that I hope that don't cause another issue or another wave of the coronavirus.
And then that would be devastating. I mean, to me, to be in another lockdown, we had one already for an X amount of months, and then it was a slow opening of things.
Yeah, it was only a month here.
It was a month, huh? Wow.
Yeah, they literally. I was going to say because when the first lockdown first was supposed to be taking place in March, it wasn't really a complete full lockdown. And it was still it was like some barbershops were still open. It was still some places that were still open. I think it wasn't until like the end of March, like towards the end of March, where they was like, okay, you know what? If you're not essential, you need to close at that point. And I'm like, okay. And then here we come, May 23rd, not even a full month later, or probably 3 weeks into, the lockdown. Oh, no, the governor can issue another lockdown. We're going to overturn it. Type things, and they overturn the lockdown and everything opened back up. So it's like, yeah,
it's been one. You have the governor and wanting to lock stuff down, and then you have the Republicans in the state.
This is what happened when you have a Democratic governor with all the senators and all the other people are Republican, majority Republican.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And like I said, Republicans are so for money. They're all about money, money, money. To the point where they don't even care about public health.
No, they don't care about your health or safety.
Like, nope. I agree with slowly opening things back up, but at the rate that they were trying to open things back up, like, no, you're trying to kill people.
And I seen even last year, I even seen like small groups of people. Yeah, they're outside making like you're around like a fire pit or something like that, And they made that circle around, But here's the problem. All these couples, instead of being like you got your two, you and your partner, instead of being 6 foot, from each other, they're maybe 2-3 feet apart. Those two are together, and I'm like, well, how are we?
But now there's a study saying that 6 feet apart is not even enough. So y'all been talking about social distancing and being 6 feet apart for over a year now, and now you're saying, oh, well, 6 feet apart is technically not enough. If somebody sneezes, you can still contract the virus or something like that. So, so what now? At this point,
do you have to be 10 feet away? Is there?
I mean, because at this point, when it comes to the whole 6 feet apart thing, nobody's really doing 6 feet apart at all. No more. Like you see the people who still get angry, like you're supposed to be 6 feet apart. Like I went to one of the most dangerous places I have noticed to go. No matter what state that you live in, the most dangerous place to go into is a gas station.
Yep.
I go into the gas station. I went to the gas station for the first time a few weeks ago, and like normally I pay at the pump. For some reason, I had went in for like a juice or something. So yeah. So normally I pay at the pump, but that time I went to the gas station. I'm watching every last customer going to this gas station, no mask on. They have no safety precautions in gas stations, no hand sanitizers out, no nothing except for Speedway. Speedway do their job to require masks and make sure that everybody's wearing a mask going into Speedway. And you know, like you can't get your own coffee or slushies, anything or donuts. The staff does it for you.
Oh, that's good.
So like Speedway does have it down packed, but like when you go to like some of these gas stations that are considered in like the inner city, there is no mask precautions. People are just walking in. They're not 6 feet apart. So like, why are you trying to pay for your stuff and somebody standing like less than probably a foot apart directly behind you? So it's bad.
I mean, a lot of the Quick Trips, they're not quick. They're more like in the outer parts of Milwaukee,
Mm-hmm.
kind of outer cities. But even Quick Trips, like you see people and you see groups of people, and you're like, okay, you can't all be family members. To be honest, you all got to be neighbors. See a bunch of kids together, no masks. Yeah, they going to Quick Trip, and they're all hanging out. And I'm like,
And these people that work in this and these guys don't say nothing.
no, they can't.
And then some of
There's
these inner city gas stations, they have like their hood security guards, which is basically some old decrepit man who just ain't got nothing to do, who they pay under the table to sit at the door and to like kind of watch the store while the guy behind the glass is working. But that guy who's sitting there, watching the door or whatever, he doesn't even have on a mask. I'm like, this is just ridiculous. I'm like, this is why I don't go into gas stations. I like literally use the thing where you can just tap at the gas pump and pay, and I keep going. Like I don't go into gas stations.
I mean, to be honest, I've done sometimes where just like, what, I just don't want to go in. You just, swipe your card. Make sure that it's not going to be one of those where they can get your credit.
Mm-hmm.
That it's one of those fake. But yeah, I mean, it's just easier. You slide it in, punch in whatever numbers you got to punch in, gas your vehicle up, get the receipt, go. That's it.
See, I don't never slide in. I just tap. Boop. And keep going. I'm not even putting in my credit card into the slot. I just tap and go. I don't have time for all of that.
Well, and it depend on what your company, your bank institution is, and if you have that, or if it's on your phone, yes,
Oh yeah, if it's on your phone, yeah. I
Apple,
do use my Samsung Pay quite often.
and like I said, Apple's Apple Pay, Samsung Pay. I believe maybe Motorola now, LG possibly have something.
Well, LG is going out of business. So if you own an LG phone, you might want to get rid of it because they are discontinuing their cell phones. So they would now, I guess over the last few years, they have said they have lost hundreds of $1 million because people are not basically buying their phones.
Yeah.
So they're going to be discontinuing phones. So they will not be making phones anymore. So if you have an LG phone, your best bet is to, I don't know what other cell phone company still makes cell phones. only thing I know is Apple, Samsung, and LG. I don't know what else there is to make cell phone.
Motorola, they still make phones, and actually, they're actually taking over where LG. And I did hear about this where LG is going out of business on their cell phone line, but actually, Motorola still doesn't make phones. They still do make the Motorola phone, and actually, they're when you go back, and we don't talk about this. This is really nothing boring, but yeah, I mean, they started the whole cell phone industry. They started way before all of us were around. They've had this stuff back in the 60s and 70s.
Yeah, Motorola been around forever.
Yeah.
I mean, so that's gonna be their only options then.
Yeah, you're gonna have pretty much you'll have Motorola. I mean, there's off brands.
Yeah, I think like Kyocera and like stuff like that still exists, but when it comes to smartphones, they don't really make good smartphones. So I don't know if there's the option that you want to go with. Like I said, I'll tell people if you are a person who like to stick with Android, you can never go wrong with a Samsung. In my personal opinion.
That's true. I mean, the Samsung, Samsung, I consider Samsung and Apple are kind of like top line competitors. They're both like
they're basically the same phones. I mean, Samsung make half the programming for the Apple phone, so it's like it's the same phone. It's just a different name and a different look. That's all it really is.
It's not much difference. I mean, they have a Samsung flip phone now, a smartphone that flips and that.
I saw the flip phone. I was like, "Ooh, I want it," but I was like, "No, I would stick with my Note." Because they got the one that flips up, and then they got the other one that opens up like a
Yep.
tablet. So I want the one that opened up like a tablet, but I was like, that phone was like $2,000.
Oof. Yeesh.
And
Oh my gosh.
it
No.
don't have the same features as like the Samsung Note phone. So I'm like, that phone is kind of pointless. So if they would have made it where it had the same, like you could take out like and take the pen out and use the pen and stuff like on the Note phones, then it would have been worth $2,000. But the fact that it doesn't have that, I'm not afraid to pay $2,000 to have a foldable version of the Galaxy.
Yeah, no, it doesn't.
phone.
Yes, everyone's trying to advance. Everyone's trying to do this, that, and everything else to make their phones look better. And people buying them. Apple's trying to, they're working on the iPhone 9 and 13. They got. Samsung's got Samsung was talked about these flip phones. They've been talking about for the last 5 years. We're going to make the first flip phone. Well, they did. They just did it. They did it last year.
And it's crazy because like the only thing that get me with people with Apple people I look at your phone like your phone designs have not really changed in God knows how long. Like literally every last only thing they changed where they took away the little circle home button. And other than now, it has a little. I don't know if it got the little square for the home button now, the little that you touch.
It's more like a touch one. It's
yeah, like that's the only thing that they have changed. Like other than changing how the camera look on the back of the phone, everything else just basically looks the same. Like the design does not change when it comes to Apple. And it's weird. It's just crazy to see like people like I got to get the brand new iPhone. Like the brand new iPhone, like you just got the one last year. It's like it's the same exact phone. Except this time this year they didn't make these phones in this color last year. They giving you literally the same exact phone.
It's the same mold, same cutout. It's like
right. It's the same shape.
It's the same thing, and there's nothing really. It's the same.
Yeah, like I think like now I think they're like the 12 or the 13 or something now. So like the 12s, like the ones for this year, like they're going back to like that box look for the ones this year instead of the round look, like the curved screen look. Now they're going back to the box look. I'm like, I guess you Apple lovers.
I mean, Samsung. They did. I didn't remember seeing. I don't know what the name one was, but I remember Samsung had one with the rounded sides on it. And
that's how my phone. Actually, I don't even know where my phone is at.
And I believe that they actually had.
Like, that's how my phone is. So like right here, my like this right here on the side. This is actually still part of my screen right there.
Sure, on the sides.
Yeah, on the side. Yeah. So I still have that.
And to me, I don't think it's a bad. I mean, you could turn. The nice part was that you could be in any which, even in light or anywhere, and you could turn it. You could see the screen. And to me, I thought that was a very smart technology that Samsung made. I would,
because to be honest, like it makes it like compared to when the phones used to be like not have that round like screen. So like if I was to drop my phone, it actually makes it more absorbent. So like the screen doesn't crack. Like and that's what I like about the Samsungs and like how to keep around. Because like my mom, she dropped her phone on the concrete, but her phone didn't break. Her screen only got cracked because somebody stepped on it.
Oh well, yeah. So that's what happens.
So it survived the fall. It just didn't survive the part when somebody stepped on it.
So it's not the like coming down on its own. But
it landed. It literally landed on the screen, but somebody stepped on it, and then that's when the screen cracked.
Yeah. Then it's pretty much and you're like,
yeah.
Then it's the decision: do you get a brand new screen put on, or
Actually, so I took her to get a new screen. And I think it was only supposed to be like $30 for a new screen. And they was like, oh, well, we don't have any screens here at our other store. That's why I hate T-Mobile. We don't have the screen at our other store. I'm like, okay, so what's the next option? Oh, well, you can send it into the factory or you can send it to our warehouse, wherever they do it, send them to. And they was like, oh, and then today have your phone it might take them like 3 weeks to get your phone back to you. But we give you a loaner phone instead. Like, oh, well, what loaner phone? Oh, the S10 Plus. I'm like, that phone is like 2 years old now.
So instead of giving you something newer, being like, hey, we'll upgrade you for whatever it is.
And that's what I had to end up doing. Is like, or you can upgrade the phone. So like, I went to the park as upgrading the phone. So then I'm doing it like, oh yeah, make sure you return the phone in good condition. I'm like, oh well, they told us to upgrade the phone, so you're gonna be getting the phone back with a cracked screen because you got the store told me to upgrade the phone and give y'all the old phone. So I'm not afraid to pay for whatever extra money you try to charge me for paying. Like you already charged $176 to upgrade the phone or something like that. And then on top of that, you're gonna, you think I'm afraid to pay more charges because the screen was cracked? Like your associate told us to upgrade the phone, so that's on you.
Yeah, that's right. And then it's coming down to your company. I mean, you talked earlier in a few podcasts earlier about how sucky T-Mobile was. So
oh my god, yeah.
And so we're not going to get into that at all tonight because that was actually in our podcast earlier previous to that. But if you find T-Mobile sucks. Part of the same thing.
Go back, go listen to it because actually after that podcast aired, it got worse after that. So I have to actually switch back to the Sprint network. Like I forced them to put me back on just Sprint towers only.
And actually, right now, just U.S. wide, we're just on just the states wide, including like if you put Mexico, Canada, Alaska, Hawaii on that, and Puerto Rico, the two best performers. And it was AT&T. AT&T has always been kind of top for years, but now it's AT&T and Verizon. Now they're kind of like head to head. They're within.
But now with Sprint, with T-Mobile buying out Sprint, T-Mobile actually has more customers than AT&T and Verizon.
True, that's true.
But now they advertise, oh, we got the biggest, largest network and the largest 5G. Like, you liars!
They don't. I have a friend of mine. She's got Boost, which is that's part of I think was Sprint.
It was with Sprint, but they had to sell it, so it's not owned by Sprint no more.
Oh, it isn't.
So so with Boost, they were part of the merging deal because T-Mobile already had Metro, so they wouldn't have almost like a monopoly, pretty much. Oh. They had to sell off Boost so that way they wouldn't have two prepaid phone companies. So they sold Boost to a company in down south somewhere, where they basically told them like, hey, you can continue using our towers for the next 3 to 4 years. And after that, you got to build your own towers. And if you don't build your own, so people who got Boost right now, if that company don't build any towers in the north, then your phone won't work.
Or try to lease air time out from whatever, this and that. Yeah.
Because if there's no towers up here for the phones to be able to work off of, they just won't have service.
Oh, wow. I guess I didn't know a lot about it. I do know I have a coworker and then I know a gentleman that actually have Boosts off the town that are going to have to probably jump ship, because I know T-Mobile's got, they have a prepaid provider.
That's Metro PCS.
Metro?
Yep.
Okay. Because I know there's one called Simple Mobile, but I didn't think that's true like a Walmart. That's like a Walmart T-Mobile.
I think so. I think that's Walmart.
It's a Walmart thing, kind of like what Straight Talk started out to be.
Yeah, because all they T-Mobile got is Metro PCS.
Yeah, and everyone that had Metro before they got combined with Sprint, I've heard some good things. Now I don't hear nothing but garbage. Metro customers, and now that's not up here by me. That's more towards like Madison, Milwaukee area.
They almost made me want to switch back to Cricket. Because Cricket is actually the AT&T prepaid service. So I'm like, maybe I should go back to Cricket.
you know what? To be honest with you, there's a lot of choices out there, and if we ever did a podcast about, that. But to be honest with you,
we need to.
There actually are a lot of choices out there. There's way more than just Cricket and, Metro PCS, Boost. I would be amazed. You hear there's a company called Visible.
I remember now. Straight Talk is for the old people. That's like $30 a month or something like that. That's what the old people's cell phone. That's when they still get like minutes and stuff.
Oh no. That's called Great Call. Great Call it is.
Oh, okay.
Great Call, and I think there's Consumer Cellular. That's all the.
Oh yeah, Consumer Cellular. That's what it was.
That's all the AARP members that are 15 older that can apply for that stuff.
That's what my grandfather had. I think he's paying like $26 a month for his phone, and he had a flip phone.
Oh. My mom had flip phones until about maybe 3 years ago, and I finally got her a real phone, a smartphone. Mm-hmm. She didn't like that, and now she plays with Facebook all day long.
Oh, Lord. What old person is in here criticizing me?
Don't be criticizing Martel now. Don't be doing that.
What it was. But yeah, we got so off topic. But
Yes, so we started with LGBTQ, and then we started talking about India. What we were just talking about topics going on in the world. That's what it is.
Right. Well, I guess we could call it an episode. I guess I can thank you all for tuning in to this episode of Same Cast, Different Day Podcast. I'm your host, Martel Rowland. You can find me on, I guess, Facebook and Instagram and TikTok at Martel Rowland.
You can find me. My name on Facebook is Crystal B. You can also find me on Snapchat as DJ Care Bear 131, and also you can always find me on TikTok as Miss Care Bear WI. So by all means, if you wish to send a message out, by all means, say hi and say you heard us on the podcast, because then we know who those listeners are moving forward, and yeah, you'll be hearing more of us. So hopefully maybe we'll actually possibly do a maybe Same Cast Different Day TikTok, maybe possibly down the road. That might happen down the road. So
if we do that, you're gonna have to run a page.
No, that's fine. I can do that.
If we do, because that's a lot of work for me.
And there'll be other things coming up, possibly down the road as we go along. And then I'm learning, as I call myself, a junior podcaster. I'm kind of the rookie to the group, which is fun. But we'll have different things going on down the road, and I appreciate everyone listening. And we'll see what happens on the next podcast. It's always to be continued.
Right. And you can always email us at scddpodcast@gmail.com if you ever want to get in contact with us that way. And once again, thank you all for tuning into this podcast. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast, and don't forget to tell your friends where you listen to Same Cast, Different Day Podcast.